Okay, so here's how my palette looks. I have white, I have yellow, bright red, magenta, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, the phthalo green, and there's black there too. And from those basic colors, you can mix pretty much any color that's on your sheet. So that's what your sheet looks like. And I'm going for that kind of pinkish beige color, um, the first row, bottom three down, or three down. So I'm making kind of a peachy color at first, and I'm doing it by mixing the yellow with the magenta. So the red that's a little bit on the cooler side, a little bit leaning more towards blue. And I just put a dot of ultramarine in there as well. And I'm zooming in so you can see a little bit better. So I'm mixing that. It's kind of making a skin tone actually. And I'm noticing it looks like there's a little bit of purple in there. So I'm taking the magenta, taking a little drop of ultramarine blue, and mixing that in as well. And I have that color swatch right near my work so I can compare it. So you need to take turns, making sure you're really looking at the color you're trying to blend. And I was looking at the swatch, and it looks to me like there's some black in there. It's grayed out a little bit. And remember, the black leans blue, so it's going to blue the color a little bit. And to me, it looks like I went too much on the black. And that stuff happens. So you're just going to have to adjust as you go. So I'm making that peach color again. You can kind of see it over there on the side. I'm not mixing it directly into my load of paint in case I have too much there. So you want to just add things incrementally. It's better to err on the side of adding a little bit less than you think you need, and then you can always add more later. If you add too much in, you're going to have to overcompensate. So there's some of that purple mixed in. And this stuff takes practice. Some of the colors on your sheet are going to be really easy. Some might even be a pure primary color. Others you're going to have to spend some time really mixing. And you're going to have to be patient because you're trying to mix it as close as possible, both in value, in temperature, and in color. There's a little bit more of the black, have a little bit of white there. So it's all these little adjustments. And it's learning to really look at what's in front of you and trying to match it exactly. This is going to help your painting tremendously. And you can see I'm taking my palette knife and I'm quickly holding it up against the swatch that I'm looking at, that square. There it is. I'm closing one eye when I do that. I'm looking at the palette knife. I'm looking at the swatch with one eye closed. It's easier for your eye to discern value if you close one eye. It looks funny, but it actually really works. And I'm adjusting, I'm warming it up. It looked a little bit too cool, too blue. So I'm putting in some more of that magenta in there. And that's looking closer. So when I think I'm really close, what I'll do is I'll take a scrap piece of paper, and there's a whole bunch of scrap papers available for you to use, and I'll paint a little bit on that scratch paper, and I'll make sure I paint right up to the edge, so that way I can actually hold the scrap paper right up against what I'm referencing. And you can do that in real life too. If you're like doing a painting of a pear, for instance, you can paint on a scrap of paper and hold it up to the pear, see how close you are to that value, to that color. Okay, so here's my test strip that I'm using. And I'm just going to take some from my pile, and I'm painting it right up to the edge there. And then I'm going to hold that up against the swatch and see how close I am. So pretty close, but I might adjust it. I'm trying to, I'm going to add some white and see if that helps. There it is with a little bit more white in it, and it's close. not 100% accurate, but I'm trying to figure out which one is closer, the darker hue or the one that's a shade that's a tad bit lighter. And that looks close enough. If you can get it within 90% of accuracy, that's your goal. If you can get 100, that's great. It's hard to do. And once you have a color you're comfortable with, that you think is a close enough match, you're going to put it on your chart. And remember, you're doing this as a group activity, so you're going to be painting it in the same spot as your swatch references. So mine is 3 down from the top. And you don't have to paint it perfectly even, that's fine. You're just placing it in there, so I can tell. And you can look from your chart to the swatches that you're referencing. And there you go. And your goal is to see how many you can do. Okay, so this is really fun. It's a challenge, and good luck.